Your financial needs aren't independent of each other, so your financial advisors shouldn't be either. At Mercantile Bank, our experienced United Wealth professionals are united to serve you and your complete financial planning and wealth management needs. Are you just starting your investment journey or need to roll over a retirement plan? Do you need to plan for a loved one with special needs or for your own life after work? Maybe your business needs a succession plan or you want to enhance your employee benefit programs. Whatever steps you need to take, our United Wealth experts are ready to take them with you. Together, we are united.
It's time for Minutes with the Mayor. Today, I'm sitting down with Kelly Japcon, the head of HR for the City of Quincy. Welcome.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
I am so glad that you're here. So before we got rolling here, we were talking a little bit about what it means to be in HR for the City of Quincy, which I'm sure is no easy job. I did an internship in an HR office for a local manufacturer here in Quincy, and it was both rewarding and challenging, and I felt like there were so many things that HR did that it wasn't even on my radar. I'm sure the same for you.
Yes.
Okay, so you're not Quincy born and raised, right?
I am not.
Okay.
So I lived in Quincy many years ago. I lived in town for probably 18 to 20 years, decided to move back to the Chicago area. I got extensive HR experience. That's probably where I got the bulk of it. Got my degree in it and decided to grow up and live out the dream.
Yes.
And then I had an opportunity, and a friend of mine here was like, hey, I've got this job that popped up on Facebook for the City of Quincy. Are you interested in coming back? And I said, I'd love to serve Quincy and come back again.
Yes.
So absolutely.
And here you are. And you've been here about how long?
A little over a year.
Okay.
A year in March.
Okay. So, of course, like I said, there are so many little kind of divergence that your career probably has taken you on within the City of Quincy, responsibilities that you have. Can you run me through just kind of your overall, what your job description is? I know that's kind of a corny term, but what does it look like for you?
Yeah, so definitely policy interpretation. When there's a risk management, we're working on workers' comp and what we can do for training, developing our employees, and just making sure they have an overall really good experience with the city.
Okay, and then as far as, so risk management is one thing, and I'm sure that that's huge because you have a lot of, you're not just answering to employees of the city, you're also answering to the taxpayers of the city, right?
Absolutely,
so you have your hands full there, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just probably a lot to make sure that you have your arms wrapped around. So, but you also have hiring within the city.
Yes.
Okay. I want to talk about some jobs that, of course, everybody knows we have central services. We have the guys that drive the big white trucks, right? But there are also people that maybe don't get as much attention from, I don't know. So what kind of different areas does it look like within the city? So you have central services and you have...
Right. We have planning and development, right? We have the records clerks at the police department. We have dispatchers for those transit drivers. We have transit, of course, the police and the fire department. So there's a lot of departments and a lot of moving parts within the city.
Definitely a lot of moving parts. And then, so when you're talking about policies and risk management, how do you keep it all straight? How do you connect all the dots? So if you definitely have different policy within the QPD versus central services, how do you...
Right, so we create policies citywide overall that will basically mask and hold the majority of the population, right?
Okay.
Then when you get into the actual collective bargaining agreements, they might go a little bit deeper and a little bit specific based on that particular group.
Right.
So, I mean, we have 80% of our employees who are probably union.
Really?
Right.
Okay.
So there's quite a bit. So again, we make policies for both. Always the collective bargaining will supersede whatever we have in the handbook, and we're currently working on updating that because that hasn't been done for quite a while either. So
yeah, I can
lots
imagine.
of legislation, lots of things to keep up with.
Yeah. So speaking of legislation, do you have any role in connecting the dots with state legislatures and Quincy policy?
Yes.
Okay.
We constantly are looking at what's the most current legal legislation when we're looking at policies as far as our handbook, right? I work with SHRM, Society of Human Resource Management, because anything that comes out that's legal on the state level or the federal level automatically gets downloaded and says, hey, this is a new thing that you need to put into your handbook.
Okay. And then be accountable for
And then we have
training
to-
and yes.
making sure that gets done and everyone
Yeah.
has to sign off on it.
Yes. Okay, so speaking of accountability, one of the things that I think most companies struggle with would be twofold: recognition and accountability. So recognizing employees sounds like it should be easy enough, but unless you put it into play daily, it can kind of get forgotten. So let's start with recognition. How do you make sure that we're recognizing those that work for the city that maybe kind of have, I don't want to say thankless, because,
Right.
but maybe we take them for granted a little bit.
Right,
Okay.
exactly. So we do peers where employees can nominate other employees for Employee of the Month or a Team of the Month.
Okay.
'Cause sometimes it's a whole crew that's been doing really well. So, we've recognized the water department over the past year for that main break that we had that was serious. The pothole crew, sometimes it's individuals that just go out of their way and they do extra work that no one asked them to do, but because
Right.
someone else wasn't in the position, they just felt the need to bring it forth.
Yeah. And then recognizing, that effort, I think, creates kind of the perpetuation of more effort, right?
Yes.
People want to be seen and they want to be thanked, which I think is great. Now, on the flip side of that, accountability. So we'll talk here in just a little bit about some misconceptions that maybe the public has about city workers, but I want to talk about accountability. So I was asking you, how do you know when you send out, let's say, a road crew, if they've done what they're supposed to get done? And the reason I say road crews, because we'll tie that into some public misconception here in just a minute. But
Absolutely.
So when you have a road crew that's going out, let's touch on how do you make sure that they know what they're doing, and then how do you hold them accountable for that?
Okay, so we have supervisors who do meet with their crews in the mornings that says, here are the work orders. Here are the things that we have to do within the city. Some things take precedence over the other. It depends on which group they're working with. And then at the end of the day, then we're like, okay, we didn't finish this because we were missing this part. Or yes, we were able to do that and we knocked out 2 other things on top of that. So that's way. And then every week I meet with the Central Services Management team and we kind of talk about how the week's going, what they needed, anything that happened, those kind of things.
Gotcha.
So we're constantly kind of keeping in checks and balances with one another.
Gotcha, through communication
Right.
and metrics and a plan, which I think is definitely necessary when you have so many things
Oh, yes.
every day. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about misconception, because I think part of things that we see on social media, this crew, there's 7 guys, standing around this pothole and 1 guy's actually filling it, which I can't lie, I feel like I've been witness to sometimes, and I'm not calling out anybody. It's not just road crews, it's not central services. It seems like there's always a crowd of people around a seemingly small problem. What do you say to that as far as public misconception or setting the record straight?
Sure. So let's start from the beginning. So individuals who come to work for any of our labor crews, it's a union job. They start at a certain labor grade, let's say 5. And as they move through other departments, they can move up in these grades. So there's an opportunity, there's a learning curve to each one of those jobs, whether or not they're working with equipment, et cetera. And so when you see something like that, one person may be in a hole in the ground that you might not be able to see. We have to have another person who's a competent man who's making sure that they're okay and they're safe. And other 2 may be observing just because they've never done that and they need the training.
Gotcha.
So yes, if you went by, it probably looks like, there's 3 guys standing over a hole and
Yeah.
1 guy's doing the work.
Yeah.
But, there's a whole process that happens
Gotcha.
to do that.
I
So-
gotcha. Okay, so any other misconceptions that you feel like what you just want to kind of address? Because I think there's probably a lot. One of the ones I had, sorry, I asked you and then totally
that's
took it back. But so one of the questions I had, because, we recently had David Adam, he went to work for the city, and it's amazing. I think he's, so far doing great, and I think it's a great position for him. But I always had that question of, okay, so what happens if Linda Moore decides at the end of her term that she doesn't want to do this, and maybe, a new mayor comes in and doesn't see this as a necessary position, or are they automatically out on their tush?
They're not.
Okay.
So just think about in any private organization, right? A new CEO comes into effect. Some CEOs may bring in part of their team. A good CEO will always evaluate who's on the team and then figure out, okay, do we need an opportunity to work with this individual to see, are they the right fit or the right person that can do what we need them to do?
Sure.
We were all fortunate. You know, we haven't had a lot of change, so
Right.
that's been great.
Yes. Okay. Because I was like, well, you know, if people want to work for the city and they have the same ideas that I do around the position, maybe it's kind of an inhibitor to go and put your name out there for a city position, because you don't just want to go for a term. I mean, everybody's looking for a career.
We want a long term.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay. So any other misconceptions before I jump on to the next topic?
No, the only other thing I would say is we know that there are individuals, the citizens, right? They're curious about what our folks are doing.
Yes.
Why are we doing this? Why are we tearing up this road? Why is the water crew here? Know that we welcome those questions. People are allowed to videotape, people are allowed to do whatever, but sometimes we have an active construction area and we need to make sure for the safety of our crew and the safety of the citizen that we ask them, hey, you're more than welcome to do that. Could you stand over here? This
Sure.
is an active construction area. And we've even armed them with cards so they can say, hey, if you have questions about this job, I can't talk about it, but here's our number to Central Services. Please give them a call. They'll be happy to assist you and tell you what we're doing, et cetera.
Gotcha. So it's not that you're gatekeeping, but there's a time and a place
Right.
to keep everybody safe and to make sure that we're answering questions the right way, which I understand. So back to the positions in Quincy. So now that you've kind of, eliminated the misconception that, hey, once you come in, you may not be
Right.
right. Also that, yes, there are union jobs, which can be very good paying jobs. Working for the city, I think, is generally viewed as a pretty good gig.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most people, work for the city. They want to be of service, right?
Right.
They want to do what's right. We have a great pension program, right? We have competitive wages. We work really hard and we work really closely with our unions to make sure that we're getting that done for our folks. And I think they appreciate that. We're always going to work on things like, healthcare's too expensive, right? Healthcare's expensive everywhere. We're
Right.
always working to try and do our best to keep costs low for our employees so that they enjoy coming to work and they don't have to worry about that kind of a burden.
Right. So what positions do you have currently available? I looked on the website and I think I only saw one, but that doesn't mean that it's up to date. Do
Right.
you have
So
you got
now-
the scoop for us?
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's how it works. So if it's a union job, within that union group, it will get posted. So we currently have 2 mechanic positions open in our garage.
Okay.
And then we currently have a janitor's position that recently opened again. So that goes in with the group. Then it goes what we call citywide, but that means other people in the union that might not work for Central Services, but within the union. And then it goes, quote, citywide out in the public.
Okay.
So there's a series of almost a week that happens between 3 days here, waiting to see if people bid into that position, right?
Okay.
And then 3 days with another group, and then out to the open.
Gotcha. So that kind of explains why maybe I'm only seeing one position. Maybe that's the only public position currently.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
So where do people go? I did mention the website, but I'd like you to tell us where to go, what website, and where would they find it?
Sure. Okay, so quincyil.gov, and just look under, you can type it in the search bar, open positions, you can look for the HR department. And again, we're revamping that website, so we're hoping that things will get viewed
Yes.
a little bit easier, right? It'll be more user-friendly.
Right.
But yes,
Cool.
it's right there.
Yeah. So again, I know you have definitely a never-ending list of things as the head of HR. We could go into a lot of challenges, but I want to keep this kind of light and airy. You can come back and we can talk about anything that you need help
Yeah.
with. But I think for now, maybe anything that you think would make, I don't know, what can the public do as far as getting engaged or asking questions or keeping misconceptions at a minimum, right? What do you think? What would you recommend people do as far as the head of HR?
Listen, we are doing a great job. I know that people like to get on social media.
Yeah.
And now with our communication strategist, she's helped answer those questions. Having someone who can answer those real time and more quickly has alleviated a lot of misconceptions and a lot of issues like, well, I don't understand why they do this. And she will put, here's why.
Right.
And when people know the why, then they don't have as many questions.
Right.
So-
They don't get to make up
They
their
don't get-
kind of own narrative,
That's
right?
right,
Yes. And I'm not
exactly.
saying that, there haven't been some things that people deserve to ask questions, right?
Right.
Because we do pay, we are the taxpayers, which I consider us to be kind of the boss, right? Of even
You
kind of the
bet.
head of HR.
Yeah.
So if people do have questions about, what you're doing, what the crews are doing, accountability, recognition, if they want to recognize somebody or hold somebody accountable, where do they go?
Yeah, they can go to our website. They can do a general inquiry. There's an human resources at quincyil.gov where I get lots of questions, or I think there's even a general mailbox that people can ask questions for. I invite people to go to every one of our meetings is public forum and it's open. And man, I certainly didn't think that I would spend every Monday night at City Council, but you learn so much about the city and how things work.
Right.
So it's worth taking a peek on Facebook or coming in person because they're really exciting in person.
They are very enlightening, just like this meeting has been. Kelly, thank you so much. I appreciate it. You will have to come back because like I said, I have so many questions, but I don't want to load you up and, just take everybody's afternoon. But anyway.
That's good.
Yes. Okay. Yes, I appreciate you. All right. And I also appreciate Mercantile Bank here in Quincy for bringing us and you Minutes with the Mayor. Thank you so much, Kelly. It's been a pleasure.
You too. Thank you very much.
Thanks.